Thousands of people from all across the country have gathered under the Arizona sun, many arriving days in advance, drawn by a shared sense of mourning, solidarity, and purpose. The event, titled Building a Legacy, Remembering Charlie Kirk, has evolved into more than just a memorial. It is a political and cultural moment. It's a reflection of the deep fracture running through American political discourse and a tribute to a man who stood, often defiantly, at the center of it all. Charlie Kirk, the firebrand conservative activist and founder of the nonprofit Turning Point USA, was killed in a shooting that shocked the nation and reignited an already intense debate over political violence. His death at the age of 31 sent ripples through communities far beyond the conservative movement. His friends, his allies, his critics all were forced to confront the implications of what it means to die in the middle of a speech, while doing the very thing that defined one's existence, the service. Hosted by his organization in Phoenix was a meticulously planned celebration of life, framed not as a moment of grief, but as a catalyst for future action. From every corner of the nation, supporters, admirers, and public figures descended upon the desert city, some flying in on red-eye flights, others caravanning in buses adorned with slogans and flags. There were veterans, students, podcasters, pastors, politicians, and regular Americans who had once heard Kirk speak and never forgotten him. President Donald Trump, now in his third campaign for the presidency, stood at the helm of the event as the keynote speaker, flanked by Vice President J.D. Vance and Kirk's widow, Erica. Trump's presence alone signaled the scale and seriousness of the moment. This was not a campaign stop, nor a routine political rally. It was personal. It was solemn. It was historic. The open-air venue was transformed into something resembling both a concert and a constitutional convention. Giant LED screens lit up with montages of Kirk's past speeches, including his viral campus debates and podcast clips. His voice echoed through speakers in between live orchestral performances, while candles were passed out to the crowd in preparation for the evening vigil. Some in attendance wore Turning Point USA merchandise hats, shirts, pins, while others came draped in American flags, symbolizing what Kirk had long described as his life's mission: to save the country he believed was slipping away. A moment of silence was observed just after sunset. The crowd fell into a hush as the Arizona sky transitioned into deep indigo. Thousands of phone lights blinked on in unison. In that light, people could see each other not as strangers or political allies, but as a collective united by loss and purpose. But the silence did not last. Not long after the final notes of Amazing Grace echoed off the venue's walls, the tone shifted. Trump took the stage to thunderous applause, and his speech was vintage Trump, part eulogy, part call to action, part political sermon. He praised Kirk's bravery in the face of a corrupt academic system, called his death a consequence of unchecked left-wing radicalism, and urged the crowd not to let Charlie's death be in vain. He referred to Kirk as a modern-day patriot who fought for truth and country, right up to his final breath. Vice President Vance followed with a more somber tone, speaking of Kirk's early years and how the two had met long before either was prominent on the national stage. Vance described Kirk as relentlessly curious, deeply faithful, and unafraid of confrontation, qualities that made him both admired and reviled. His voice cracked as he read from one of Kirk's last social media posts, one that, in hindsight, felt prophetic in its intensity. He knew the stakes, Vance said, and he never shied away. Among the many who took the stage were some of the country's most influential and polarizing figures. Tulsi Gabbard, a former Democratic congresswoman turned independent thinker, spoke passionately about Kirk's commitment to challenging narratives. He didn't just challenge the left, he challenged all of us to think critically, she said. Senator Marco Rubio called him a soldier in the culture war, while Robert F. Kennedy Jr. offered a moment of bipartisan reflection, lamenting the rising temperature of American discourse and the human cost it now bore. In the stands, Attendees noted the quiet presence of Elon Musk. For nearly an hour, he remained isolated in a shaded section of the venue. Hood up, sunglasses on, his hands clasped. He was eventually seen joining the general crowd, standing silently as others sang along to a choir rendition of God Bless America. While Musk did not speak publicly, his presence was taken by many as a quiet show of solidarity for a man he had once defended on social media. Kirk's widow, Erica, delivered perhaps the most emotional address of the night. Dressed in black but standing tall and poised, she recounted their final phone call just minutes before the shooting. Her voice didn't waver as she told the crowd, "Charlie died doing what he loved. He died speaking truth." The crowd rose to its feet multiple times during her speech. Some wept, others prayed. Others simply stood in silence, processing the gravity of the moment. Kirk had been speaking at Utah Valley University when the shooting occurred, a routine event, part of his campus tour until it turned into a nightmare, as he spoke on the dangers of media manipulation and ideological capture. A 22-year-old man in the audience, later identified as Tyler Robinson, stood up and fired a single round from a handgun, striking Kirk in the neck. Chaos erupted. Students screamed. Staff dove for cover. First responders arrived within minutes, but the injury proved fatal. Kirk died en route to the hospital. The motive remains under investigation. But police believe Robinson had become radicalized by online content criticizing conservative media figures. Some reports suggest he had previously attempted to confront Kirk at another event but was turned away by security. He left behind a manifesto, still under FBI analysis. That reportedly includes references to Kirk's political positions and his influence among young conservatives. Kirk's death has raised serious concerns about the safety of public figures and the toxic polarization gripping the nation. Many have drawn comparisons to past political assassinations, while others see the event as a warning sign of what may come if divisions continue to deepen, despite or perhaps because of the tragedy. Kirk's movement appears more energized than ever. His organization announced during the memorial that it would be launching the Charlie Kirk Legacy Fellowship, a year-long mentorship and training program for young conservatives who wish to continue his mission. Applications opened within hours of the announcement. Outside the venue, hundreds more gathered in makeshift vigils. Some held handmade signs bearing Kirk's image. Others lit candles or wrote messages of support for Erica and her family. In one corner, a group of young college students stood in a circle, each taking turns sharing what Kirk had meant to them. "He made me believe it was okay to speak up," one said. "He made me brave," another added. The memorial stretched late into the night. By the time the final prayer was said and the last speaker stepped down, the crowd had thinned only slightly. Many stayed reluctant to leave, sitting quietly in the grass or on the concrete steps, looking up at the stars. In death, Charlie Kirk had become even larger than life, his passing not just an end, but a rallying cry. And for those who came to Arizona to remember him, the message was clear. This wasn't over. His voice may be gone, but his echo was just beginning to bounce through a nation still trying to find itself. Well, guys, what are your thoughts? Do tell us. Thanks for watching.